Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. A very warm welcome to yet another session of Weekend with Wisdom. Let me begin with a small prayer. Tada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। भारतीकरुणापात्रं भारतीपदभूषणं भारतीपदमारूढं भारतीतीर्थमाश्रये विद्याविनयसम्पन्नं वीतरागं विवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञं विधुशेखरभारतीं। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम्। Today is concluding the second part of this weekend's Weekend with Wisdom by Swami Rameshwarananda ji. Yesterday he shed light, he shared a lot of insightful teachings from the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita on yoga and jnana, and today he will be elaborating much more on that. Before we proceed, I just want to introduce Swamiji to those who have joined, who were not able to join yesterday but are joining today. Swami Rameshwarananda Saraswati ji took sannyas diksha from Swami Sakshatkritananda Saraswati, the chief acharya at Swami Dayananda Ashram Rishikesh, and Swamiji is currently resident at Manjakudi, wherein there is which is Puja Swami Dayananda Saraswati ji's birthplace. There, Swamiji runs a Vedanta study center called Jnana Pravaha, wherein all the teachings of Dayananda Saraswati ji has been archived and they are available for free access for students of Vedanta. And Swamiji is also associated with Arsha Vidya Research and Publication Trust, and it publishes all the teachings, all the writings, lectures, transcripts, etc. of Puja Swamiji Dayananda Saraswati ji. So Swamiji regularly brings out a lot of publications. I think 2 months back also he brought out one publication, and I think in another 2 months another publication is coming out. Please do check out if you have not already. So with this brief introduction, Swamiji, please start today's session. Viewers, whatever questions you have, please put it in Q&A box, and the last 10 minutes, Swamiji will take up some of those questions. Please go ahead, Swamiji.
सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। दयाकरं दयाकारं दान्तं धर्मप्रवर्तकं प्रणमामि दयानन्दं मदाचार्यवरं परम्। Welcome to you all for this session of Vedic wisdom. Thank you, Nitin Sridhar, for giving that introduction to the viewers. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my understanding from what I have gathered from the Acharyas and Shastra Acharya Upatesha with the viewers for their benefit. I pray to the Lord Dakshinamurti that my sharing of this understanding blesses and helps people in their journey of life. With this, I will start. So yesterday I had given a brief on the jnana aspect, jnanam as the as Gita's prime motive. Gita Acharya's prime motive in the Bhagavad Gita is Brahma Vidya. That is why it's called Brahma Vidya Yoga Shastra. So, and as I said, because the context, itself was presented so dramatic context of Yuddha, and it's a question of life and death situation. Even in Shastra, it always says your head should be on fire for you to really be interested in Vedanta, because the urgency, that it has to get the topmost priority in your life. Swamiji used to say Vedanta is a very jealous lady, since it wants total attention. So, because that is why the contexts are presented in like that, and even in our own life. No, generally people take to this when they do the pariksha lokam, they find that karmas are moving within samsara, whatever we do with all the good intentions, with dharma, and all that, still there is something, some gap left, some dissatisfaction is always there. Dukkha lesa is always there, even for the most fortunate people. So the solution doesn't lie there. It is lying in something more. Like what Arjuna asked, Nishreyas, not prayers. What is required is Shreyas, not prayers. So that is why, because of the context and because of the urgency with which Arjuna presented, Bhagavan also equally responded very clearly without any preamble. He straight away moved into saying that you have to have nasate vidyato bhavaha. You have to have a clear understanding of what is Sat. Once that is there, this dilemma of dharma, all those things will vanish from your mind. Then it will be easy for you to, because karma, as we are going to discuss today, is inevitable. Anyone who is born has to, whether it is animal or plant or human being, karma is, in the sense, karma is not a, what do you call it? Karma is an action. Karma is an object also in Sanskrit. But what we are talking about, karma is an action. Since action is inevitable, the body is meant for, if you, Swamiji used to say, if body is not put into use, it will get petrified. It will become, what do you call it, be useless in no time. So body has to be put to use. That means karma is inevitable. In such a situation, what you call, how to ensure that the karma does not interfere with my pursuing the understanding, the knowledge which we talked about elaborately yesterday, because that is where Shreyas is. So that is where, no, Swamiji gives a preamble, and Gitacharya also gives a preamble before he starts on Eshat Vihita Sanke Buddhi Yoge Mamam Snunu. Like that, Bhagavan starts. Before that, Swamiji gives a brief introduction on this. See, the main purpose of this teaching to Arjuna is, in order to achieve this jnana prapti, there is a mistaken notion of opposites and resultant shoka, moha, because of this karma and all that. That is where he feels it's interfering with his what do you call Shreyas, even if for jnana prapti. So karma yoga is now introduced as, what you call, as Buddhim Sunu by Bhagavan himself. He says it is almost like an Ishvara Aradhana. Karma is like a Ishvara Aradhana. If it is approached that way, then karma becomes yoga. So so a life in awareness of Ishvara Prasada Nimitta, what we talked about briefly yesterday, Ishvara Arpana Buddhi and Prasada Buddhi, Jnana Prapti has its Nimitta and Ishvara Prasada, grace of Ishvara. So it removes us from what do you call this, the Dvandva, that is the dilemma of by indulging in karma, I will have Sukham and Dukham. I will be buffeted between Sukham and Dukham. I will not be able to, what do you call, enjoy the Nishreyas. So living a life of how to release myself from Raga Dvesha, and how to maintain the Chitta Prasannata by living a life in harmony with Ishvara. And from that, by that, understanding of karma as yoga, and following that, I can free myself from this bandham of Dvandva. That is the objective of this. So, like Swamiji always used to say, people don't, unless you understand karma properly, karma yoga is what do you call, is a far cry. So what is this karma? When we look at our own life, karma is not something, no, we have got all the karakas in Sanskrit, what they mentioned, subject, object, by what, for what is the purpose, and what is the Karana, what is the location, time and place, everything, all there, and plus Adi Devikam, the sense interference, Adi Bhautika interference. All our things are the matrix of karakas and internal and external factors are there involved in any karma coming to fruition. In such a situation, we know very well all our faculties, however rich or poor, however capable or not very capable we are, there is always a limitation. In such a situation, the karma undertaken for a purpose of I am doing this for this purpose has always a lot of question marks in spite of your best intentions. So in that situation, you start as a loser if you perform karma with a certain objective in mind and be very, what do you call it, very aggressive or very has Shastra talks about agraha, abhinivesha, and avesha towards the phala. In the sense, if you have that much of akanksha towards there is so much of attachment towards the phala, and even when you do, you will not be in your full sense because your mind is always on the phala rather than the action. So there again, your own efficiency will come down. And number two, if that is the what do you call the phala is the same, even your action may not be always dharma because you are always having the somehow I have to achieve that phala. That somehow means it can have dharma and little bit of adharma all the time. So there again, your karma itself will not be efficacious because if it is not totally dharmic, it will have any part of adharma will have its equally negative consequences. So either way, that is why that famous statement, even as we will see that karmanyeva adhikarahate ma paleshu katachana ma karma pala hetu buhu sangam tektvatu akarmani mate sangostu akarmani. That is what so the karma pala, if it is going to drive you, the pala itself will become a hetu. The sense, like we suppose a simple action like eating food. You feel hunger, you have the hunger, you go to your eating place and go and eat. So you are hungry, you go and eat. Hungry is also part of the natural process, and food is given by Bhagwan, and you go and eat there. That's it. That should be the simple act. But if you put your identification in that I am hungry, I am eating, I am happy with the food I eat, tomorrow I seek the same food. So by identifying ourselves with an action, like even simple action like eating, we are converting the simple action into something which will give me sukha, dukkha, soka, moha, and all that. So the simple act of eating is all happening in the Ishvara's domain. Hunger is the Ishvara's domain. Eating is in Ishvara, food is given. So it's all, don't unnecessarily get entangled. The I, the lofty I, which we had talked about yesterday, the Sat, the being, the freedom, you don't lose that freedom to every action which you do. So not losing this freedom to the action is yoga. The sense, maintain the space between the action and the yourself, which is what you call, which is blessing the action. I would say it's a blessing the action. It is not the indulging, or it is not entangling ourselves. It is not the view to totally committing ourselves to the phala and all that. Those are the aggrandizement, that avesha, that agraha, the abhinivesha only reduces the space, or put the space to naught between the self and the karma. So and also the lack of recognition, whatever is happening, the karma, what is happening is all in the Ishvara's domain. Ishvara meaning, again, it is not somebody sitting there and putting donuts in terms of karma. This is what you should do, and this is what the phala is. Neither it is nobody is sitting, because Bhagavan has already told. Later also it is Antaryami. He is there in every being, whether it is animal or human being. Everywhere Antaryami is there, and The Ishvara, which is, we have to have a proper understanding of Ishvara. It is not Ishvara Arpanam and Ishvara worship. It is not a belief system. It is again understanding. Understanding meaning Ishvara is, in the sense, very clearly explained even in Gita, that Bhagavan, the sixfold qualities like Samagram Jnanam, Samagram Viryam, Samagram Shakti, all that, and Samagram the dispatch, Vairagyam. What Vairagyam Ishvara needs? In the sense, dispassion, objectivity. Objectivity has to be total there, because since he is there in all the beings and in all the rupas, naturally he will be easily be objective. However much we want to be objective, only within our understanding we can be objective. So in the outside of our understanding we can be subjective, it can happen. So we can never have total objectivity in whatever we do. Whereas Ishvara's objectivity is natural. So there again, if you really explore further, Ishvara is nothing but knowledge personified. It is not that he needs a buddhi, a given buddhi, because given buddhi means limited and meant for a particular upadhi. Upadhi means a particular being born in a body, born in time and will be going in time. Yesterday we discussed everything that is born and goes is limited. So it cannot be, Ishvara cannot be associated with the limited body, mind, senses. So that is why the Ishvara understanding, the understanding, it's not a concept of Ishvara, it is a question of understanding that it is something given in all aspects. Everything is in Ishvara's domain. Whatever we do, the karma which we are talking about, even our own body, mind, it's all within the Vesti is within the Samasti. The individual is within the total. There is no alienation. So it is not that Ishvara is infallible. Infallibility is defined as Ishvara. Infallibility is Ishvara. So when such a, this is Ishvara is a word coined by our understanding of the totality as proposed by the Shastra. Ishvara is Aishwaryam, overlordship over everything. If that is the understanding, the surrender by understanding Ishvara, the word, and in all its what you call totality, the surrender becomes automatic. The Vesti is within the domain of Ishvara. If this surrender, this oneness, even at the level of individual total understanding, if it is there, then there is no what you call agraha towards the pala, or even while doing karma. This is what is being talked about. Ishvara nimittam. When you do karma with this understanding Ishvara, automatically your karma becomes yoga. In the sense, you do whatever, like Bhagavan says, nimitta matram bhava savyasachi. Gita itself he says, you are just an instrument in the totality. Everyone has to play their role. That's it. It is without any, when you say playing the role means the being, which we discussed, the study, the awareful being. It is the Swarupa of, without any, what you call, limitation of any body, mind, means without any upadhi. He is the Swarupa of the Lord also, and the whole thing is, what you call, in terms of, what you call, the Shakti, all the Aishwarya, all the Viryam, everything in Ishvara's domain is nothing but, what you call, the total knowledge. The total knowledge of the whole thing, and this is again further explained in Shastra in a very Sadeva Saumya Idam Agre Asit, like the whole thing. This is how Ishvara is. Ishvara is not something sitting somewhere. This is the way in which what you see, what you interact, and of course, definitely you cannot understand everything. But whatever you understand, whatever you interact with is Ishvara, and Ishvara is something plus also. That is a different thing. But the fact is, everything around, including your own body and what is happening in your body, all karma, kalma pala, everything is in Ishvara's domain. And so then there is a question of what you call getting entangled in the karma pala, losing yourself. So the awareful being is the Swarupa of you. The awareful being is the Swarupa of Ishvara. And the Swarupa of Ishvara, as we now discussed, has got the complete Bharupam. Without the buddhi, meaning, in the sense, there is no limitation of a buddhi for the knowledge that is being talked about as a Ishvara, Ishvara's knowledge or Ishvara's Shakti. So, in the totality of Ishvara, everything happens. If this understanding is very clear, karma yoga becomes very natural. And once that yoga, once you relax in your karma that way,
automatically your mind is available for jnanam and pursuing jnanam, shravanam, mananam, nididhyasanam. It becomes your karma does not interfere with your jnanam. So it becomes in the sense, it only perhaps whatever you do, a little bit of mathematics or a little bit of logical work which you do, even in science or anywhere, it sharpens your intellect. It gives you capability to do shravanam better, mananam better, dhyanam better. So it becomes an added value to your jnana pursuit. That is how karma is defined as yoga in the Shastra. It is not doing one more karma to make it into yoga, like what do you call, stunning your mind or sitting in samadhi. These are all, if at all you do all that to maintain certain physical attributes and mental discipline, and all is fine. But that itself is not going to lead to jnana. Jnanam has to be primarily through shravanam, mananam, nididhyasanam, for which the mind has to be prepared, for which for preparing the mind only karma is converted to yoga, and for doing karma as yoga, what is needed is Ishvara Pranidhanam. In the sense, your understanding of Ishvara as is described by the Shastra. That is why even for a jnani, later Bhagavan himself says, for you to not to get even the slightest disturbance from karma or rasavarjam. Rasavarjam meaning there can be some leftovers of what we call attachment towards some karma or karma pala. Even that for a jnani, it goes off with Ishvara Pranidhanam. In the sense, Parandrishtva, some in the later verse 2.59 or 2.60, Bhagavan says, Parandrishtva, if Ishvara understanding is clear, in the sense, if the totality of the whole thing is in your mind, total view, as I was talking, the total view is in your mind, then the rasavarjam is not going to disturb you. That's what he, so the karma yoga is understanding Ishvara in all its tenets. So let us look at some of the verses. So the next verse is Neha na iha abhikrama nashaha asti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. See, that is what beautifully karma yoga introduces. What he says is, karma, when as I was telling you, with any phala or what do you call, agenda, when you do, naturally there can be plus minus, because it is what the result can be equal to your expectation or more than your expectation or less than your expectation, or can be totally opposite. Swamiji always used to give an example, like even a simple act like crossing the road. So you might have been very careful, but the other persons have to be careful. The drivers and the truck drivers, Swamiji used to say, the scooter drivers or Yamaha, Yamadut, they have to be careful. Otherwise, even crossing the road can have all the four possibilities, that you may catch the bus, or you may miss the bus, or somebody else may come and take you in a scooter, or you may land up in the hospital. So all these things are possible even for a simple act like crossing the road. So what to talk of all other karmas? There is no point in grandizing ourselves or getting ourselves totally committed to a karma or a karma pala. That is why it says, Ma karma paleshu sangaha, ma karma pala hetu bhuku. Don't become even a reason for the karma pala to have an effect on you, because if the karma pala is going to have an effect on you, then that triggers further action. So you get into the cycle of pala and hetu. That is precisely what samsara. Samsara is as it happens, but samsaritvam is getting yourself entangled into karma and karma pala. You don't know whether you are a hetu for a pala or a pala for a hetu. So that to that extent, uncertainty comes into your life if you get yourself entangled so much into karma. That is why it says now beautifully, look at this verse. Na iha abhikrama nasaha asti. When with this Ishvara Pranidhanam, all things is happening in Ishvara's domain, I am doing my bit of it, in the sense, just okay, I have been given some faculties, I've been put into a certain situation. I have to, yesterday I was telling what is appropriate to a given situation. I am doing. And with reference to pala, whatever comes in Ishvara's domain, I will take it as prasada. If this sort of a you put yourself the action in the totality of the whole thing, then there is no alienation. If that is happening, if that is the way you are doing karma, then na iha abhikrama nasaha. Right now, as you do, your karma becomes yoga. As you do your karma, so there is no question of getting a palam later and waiting for it, because you are doing it for the purpose of yoga buddhi, for you to have a samatva buddhi, or for a sufficiently samatvam, in the sense be available. Mind should be available for you to do shravanam, what we have talked about yesterday. That much only. The yoga, don't try to take it to an extreme situation where the mind should be completely free of thoughts, and no, even if I get some small disturbance in terms of a negative thought, immediately chide yourself. This is not the way. That is the problem with this yoga. Yoga is chitta vritti nirodha, that is being talked about in Patanjali yoga. See, it's all contextually in Patanjali yoga. There was mention of this chitta vritti nirodha, but that is only contextual, and that is not the be all and end all. That is not going to give you moksha. What Swamiji always says, chitta bhranti nirodha, your lack of understanding, or the lack of understanding of the totality of the whole thing, that only the bhranti, the mistaken understanding, is the only thing that is to be nirodha. Chitta bhranti nirodha is what is needed. That is what jnanam is going to do. But for that, you need a prepared mind. For that, okay, all this Ashtanga yoga, yama, niyama, even pranayama, all this helpful. But they are only upaya. They have to be approached only as an upaya, not as a upeya. Jnanam is the upeya. So that has been very clear. So once that is achieved, abhikramanasa is not there. Right away, as you do the work with this wholesome understanding of Ishvara, when you do any action, automatically karma yoga is done. As you do it, the palam, which is karma yoga, which is drishta palam, the sense the mind is ready. It doesn't disturb you. You do the day's work, go to office, or whatever household work you do with this understanding. It is not going to disturb you in going and sitting for a Shravanam, for a Gita class, or for any learning. Even in a school, college situation, for learning, your mind will be fully available to you for a Shravanam, because you are available. The sense mind is fully available means what? The self, which I am talking about yesterday, the being, the freedom is always with you. You don't lose that freedom because you do certain karma. If by losing that freedom is what is not yoga. Without losing the freedom when you do, karma becomes yoga. That is what is being so it's an attractive proposition. Swamiji says in karma, pala is unpredictable. If you pala is your what is going to happen in time later as a pala is unpredictable, and that is what is your focus, then there will be abhikramanasha will be there. Whereas in karma yoga, abhikramanasha meaning efforts are not in vain. Since your whatever effort you put in doing the karma, the yoga attitude is not in vain, because the palam is what you want, the yoga buddhi. It is already, you are achieving it right away, which is better. What you do, achieving what you want to achieve right away, or looking for a palam elsewhere. So let us be, this is called, Swamiji used to say, intelligent living. Doing your karma with the yoga buddhi and with the overall understanding of what karma yoga is all about, frees you right away, frees your mind is right away. Then further, in the most important verse Swamiji talks about in the thing is Vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekya iha kuru nandana bahushaka hi anantasya buddhayo avyavasayinam. The sense, people Vyavasayatmika buddhi, here what he means is that moksha is the purushartha, which we have discussed. The sense, the freedom. Moksha meaning is not the question of rebirth and all. That is all after effects. Whether you have a rebirth, it doesn't really matter. We are not talking about what is going to happen after this body goes away. Here and now, freedom. That is moksha. Mukti means what? Freedom. Freedom of the being, which is already the praptasya praptihi here, to understanding that. That freedom, that is called that is a vyavasaya atmika buddhi. The sense, vyavasaya atmika buddhi is, in the sense, what is the buddhi is meant for? Buddhi is meant for the total shreyas. That should be your focus. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi eka iha kuru nandana. Arjuna is addressed. Bahushaka, don't get buffeted. Bahushaka ki anantasya buddhayaha avyavasayinam. One who does not have a vyavasayatmika buddhi in moksha purushartha, he gets buffeted by so many things and karmas and karma palas, so many achievements and accomplishments. He keeps on looking at every pala becomes a hetu for the next action. 5 minutes only. Even if you get a Mercedes Benz or something, with all your effort, 5 minutes, once you sit in and drive you home, before that only you will have lost the pressure of owning that vehicle, because you will find the upholstery is not okay, the audio is not okay, you want to do how the people at home will appreciate all those. If there is a scratch in between, by the time you reach home, all that the effort put in getting the Mercedes Benz is gone in 5 minutes. So that is what will happen. That is what he is mentioning. Bahushaka hi anantasya buddhayaha avyavasayinam. That is what he means. So we should be very prudent in our action, and our attitude towards action should be vyavasayatmika buddhi. So when a person with this, the background, the whole thing you must understand. It is in the second chapter where Swami Bhagavan is doing the Upadesa bang on Nishrayas to Arjuna. He has brought in yoga after some verses. He has brought in yoga buddhi also. So in that context, he says, Yavan artha udapane sarvataha samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanataha. When a karma is done in this way, all the karma palas that are all there, the big things you have in mind, no, all of them get sublated. How? Like even in the olden days, when the rivers are there, even now, when the rivers are there during the summer and all, they get dried up. So for the people who are living by the water that has been coming from the river, they used to dig the banks of the river, make a small pond or a small construction where they can dig and take water and all that. So they do it for the summer purpose. But when the river gets flooded, this well or this pond, it is immaterial. All of them get washed away or get flooded. So in the same way, you are doing karma with a given pala for this purpose, that purpose, and all of them get sublated when you are doing karma with the yoga buddhi, with the Ishvara pranidhanam, with the Ishvara understanding. That's what he is mentioning. Yavan artha udapane sarvataha sampludodage. All of them get filled up. There is the question of this pala, this small pala, and this aggrandizement towards karma and all. It's not in your mind. It's not in your vision at all, because your vision is Nishraya Palam, which we talked about yesterday. So in that respect only you are living your life. Whatever your normal activity which you do, we always have that focus, and you do within the precincts of Ishvara Pranidhanam. Whatever you do, whatever comes, accept as prasada, whatever you do fully with the view that okay, I do whatever I'm best I can, and all other, there are so many other factors, adi bhautika, adi adhyatmika, even my own mood maybe, and what you call, we can make me inefficient for the day. Adhyatmika problem may be there, adi bhautika problem, surroundings, like you might have planned so many things, but COVID removed all those plans out of focus. And Ukraine war can do that. It's all adi bhautika. You can't do much about it. And adi devika, in the sense a natural calamity like tsunami and all that. You can't. Maybe we always say it's samashti prarabdham, devanugraham, and all that. We say that. So it's all there in our culture. When so many things are there, if you have that, all this adi bhautika, adi devika, and adhyatmika as part of the Ishvara's pranidhanam, then every karma has its own place, and every result that comes, you always take it as prasada. You don't get flustered by that. That is what it means, Yavanartha Udapane, in this verse. And then the most famous verse, which what you call the defining verse on karma yoga, karmanyeva adhikarahate ma paleshu kadachana ma karmapala hetu guhu mate sangostu akarmani. I was explaining in the beginning also, this pala and hetu, We don't know really what is hetu, what is phala, even the simple food like thing. If you get associated, totally, what do you call, associated with the phala, the tripti drives you to go and eat. You started with hunger, later you found tripti in the food, and the tripti asks you to go and eat again in the same place next day. So you might have gone to a particular hotel or restaurant yesterday just to appease your hunger and found the taste and all so good, and your taste and the tripti you got drives you to go to the hotel next day, even though you may not be sufficiently hungry. So you are getting into a trip by attaching value to karma phala and karma, instead of leaving it to be a simple act in the Ishvara's domain, hunger and thirst, hunger and thirst, food and water. So even in a simple act, and your aggrandizement, your what you call avesha, can lead you to a situation we don't know which is driving what. Well, that is the worst situation. Whether you are going with the pala is driving you or you are driving the pala. All these things, that uncertainty is there. What efficient work we can do. So don't get into that. That is what Bhagavan and Shankara also says, Ma Paleshu Kadachan. Don't have the Trishna. Trishna meaning over attachment, abhinivesha, avesha. We always call it no avesha or agraha. That should not be there on Paleshu. And because if you have that sort of an attachment towards Palesha, you become karma pala, become the hetu for your further action. Ma karma pala hetu buhu. Don't be a victim of the pala. Pala should be in your hands. You must be able to enjoy it, rather than pala should not be driving you for the next day's action. Ma karma pala hetu buhu. So to that extent, sangam should be avoided. But karman, that doesn't mean that you will not do anything. Okay, I will not go to any restaurant. Stop going to restaurant. Then only it happens. No, so I will eat only home food. Don't do that. When there is a necessity, when the home food is not available, you may have to go to hotel to eat food. But don't get into that aggrandizement situation. That is what said. So mate sangos to akarmani. That doesn't tell though you don't do any work. You have to do, but with this clear understanding. And the first portion, karmanyeva adhikarahate, is something very, very beautiful. In the sense, when Bhagavan uses the word adhikaraha, we have to examine it with very great scrutiny. Adhikaraha is not a simple word to just say, okay, kartum sakyam, akartum sakyam, anyatava kartum sakyam. Okay, other animals do not have the freedom to act the way in which they want. They are getting programmed. Whereas I have got the freedom. I can go and eat this food, or I can avoid that food. That is not the freedom that is being talked about. Even if you examine those things, like even that is really bound only. If you are a diabetic, even though you like laddu, you cannot have it. So in your own, if you examine, there is not much of a free will. All free will is bound only. You come with certain samskara, you have certain liking for certain colors, a certain liking for certain things. You don't know why, but still it is there. So most of your free will is bound will only. Then what is this adhikarahate? Bhagavan says, not you and I. Karmanya adhikarahate. Swamiji examines this very closely and tells the adhikari shariram. In some other place it is said adhikari shariram. Even Brahma Sutra is called Sariraka Mimamsa. That adhikari is the fellow who is the person within this Sarira, Antaryami, Antastishtati. Who is that? Is the adhikari which is being talked about. That adhikari is the freedom, the being which we discussed elaborately yesterday. Which I would say personally I am very grateful for this teaching. In the sense, it gave me that freedom, that understanding of the being, that you are the awareful being. That you are seeing the whole thing that is happening within your body, outside your body, all your relations, whatever is happening is the what you call, it's all happening in the Ishvara's domain, and you retaining your freedom, you are able to see the whole thing as a vibhuti, like even seeing a movie and coming out, enjoying whether a good thing happened in the movie or bad thing happened in the movie. So life has to be lived with that freedom that is being talked about. The adhikara is the adhikari shariram, the freedom of the being with the self. The space, like when we say touch wood, when something good happens in life, we say touch wood. Means what? I have by chance, by it's my good luck that whatever I have done has been in tune with, in harmony with Ishvara's domain. That is why, in spite of my not knowing many things, I'm able to touch base with Ishvara. Like when there can be when we say touch word, there can be a tablecloth, there can be some other things, and but when we say touch word, we transcend the cloth, transcend the table, and get to the bottom of it. Bottom of it is what? Wood. So wood is the reality that is the basis for the table on which the tablecloth decoration, everything is being done. So when we say touch wood, even though it's an English term, it's very beautiful in the sense we always touch base with the freedom, the self within us. Swamiji always used to say, it is something like this: the adhikari shariram. That is where your freedom is. That is where the freedom in the freedom is not free will. Free will is actually an important word. This doesn't belong to our shastra. Freedom, moksha, mukti. That is the thing, freedom that is being talked about here. Adhikaraha. If you retain that freedom in all your activities, then there is no activity which is a pravritti. Everything is only nivritti. What we talked about yesterday. There is no two styles which is being talked about in Gita. It is not only pravritti marga and another is nivritti marga. Both are nivritti marga. Karma yoga also is nivritti marga, and in Sankhya yoga or Jnana yoga also is nivritti marga, because the basic thing that drives us is to understand this freedom, recognize this freedom, understand its totality, and eventually the freedom, the Swarupa of the free self, that is you, is the freedom, the Swarupa of Ishvara also. Even though a lot of things may be happening, and then an element of Maya, in the sense the Shakti of Ishvara. Ishvara Swarupam is the same freedom, and whatever is happening, it's only eva. Eva meaning as though. So nothing is really happening. It looks only happening, but it is available for Vyavahara. Swamiji used to always say it's a clever man's bluff. Like when we we go and see a movie can last for only 2.5 hours. Our own dream can last for only 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or so many. Generally, a dream is only 20 seconds or whatever. So, whereas in Bhagavan's Maya Shakti can give you empirical reality. A tree can live for millions of years and it may look the same, but it is changing every moment. Even our own body, it is told every 7 years, the whole skin and everything undergoes metamorphosis. Like even a snake develops a new skin, we are also developing. The whole body is not the same. It keeps on changing. But we think that just because you and I transact as the same person, we think that we are Shashwatam. No, it is not so. So when that is the situation, this is not being talked about. Like Karmani eva adhikara is not talking about this body. This is not the sariram or the mind which is having the adhikaritvam. The adhikari which is being talked about is the being, the self, the avyabhichari, what is not changing, what is the sat which we discussed yesterday, which is the swarupa of the being, which is the swarupa of Ishvara also, and everything else, whatever is happening is happening in Ishvara's domain, and it's purely a manifestation of all knowledge, continuously changing, like even Nataraja. It is in a flux. The whole thing is in a flux, like even a long movie. It's all happening. So, and there is nothing like the past and the future, and all are in our mind. Yesterday, as I was telling, it's all in our mind. There is no linear time. So Ishvara's time is only chronological, cyclical. Morning to evening, sunset to sunrise. That's all. Every day is just afresh. You get up. Whereas in our because of the memories from the past, we keep on ruminating about it, and we have some fears about the future on the basis of the past. So we keep connecting, and we think that there is a whole life from past to future, and we are caught in between. It's all our own imagination, our own Upanishads go elaborately and say that your Vyavaharika life, whether it is as good as a dream, it goes at great lengths to prove to you that your waking life is nothing different from the dream life. When you are not afraid of the dream, and when you get up from the dream, you are able to dismiss it. When you are not afraid, if in today's context, you are not afraid of what is happening in the movie, you are able to forget it in a jiffy once you come out of it. The same way you have to look at the Vyavaharika also. In that context, Karma Yoga has to be looked at. Karma is only only as a preparation. Karma, if done as the yoga buddhi, it prepares you for doing effective shravanam, mananam, and nididhyasanam. which leads you to jnanam, jnanaya, moksha. So that is the connection of karma yoga to jnana. That is the connection with which Bhagavan also immediately presents after jnanam in 20 verses, another 20 verses, he talks about karma yoga. So karmanyeva adhikarahate we have discussed in detail. Then, so having understood it that way, yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhi asiddhyoho samo buddha samatvam yogam uchyate. Naturally, in the sense, when this within this context, when you do karma as yoga, whatever happens, siddhi asiddhi, so you might have definitely you have certain things in mind when you do a particular karma. This thing should happen. Without that, you cannot even proceed doing the karma. So when you go to eat, again the same example, the minimum thing you expect is that you are eating the food will appease your hunger. That much expectation you can have. That is fine. So, but anything beyond that is a siddhi only. It is possibility of you are opening a Pandora's box. A siddhi is possible. But even then, okay, even if you this understanding, if you approach, even if you have that sort of a aggrandizement, you can easily, okay, siddha siddhyoho samo buddha samatvam. Again, okay, at the time of eating, you might have that some taste and all that, but later you must be able to samatvam. No, I'm not supposed to approach it like that. Like in Tamil, they used to say, if you cannot catch the cow by the horn, catch it at least by the tail. By the time you go through that and a couple of days, no, I should not have too much of attachment towards this. It distracts me from my equipoise. So catch it. Siddha siddhyoho samo bhutva samatvam yogam uchyate. That's what he says in this verse. Later, so all this is the striking thing of Bhagavan's Upadesha is he perhaps because of the urgency of the situation, and it suits us also, that there is a lot of urgency in Bhagavan's teaching. He doesn't beat around the bush. He clearly tells Arjuna, see, jnanam is what is shreyas, and your karma should be done as yoga. These are the way it has to be approached, and Ishvara understanding has to be there. Then you are ready for Nishreshaya Phala. Buddhi yukto jahatiha ube sukrita duskrite tasmad yogaya ujjasva yoga karmasu kausalam. So after explaining all these things, he says it is obvious samatvam is one's response to karma phala in this fashion. There can be no other samatvam. Samatvam is not going to happen in the result or in your expectation. You will definitely, with reference to expectation, whatever happens, the result will always be in variance. Very rarely, if you are lucky, it will be exactly as per what you wanted. So that samatvam is not possible. So samatvam is only in terms of your approach, your understanding of the whole thing. That is where samatvam is talked about. There can be objectivity. That is where even the objectivity is only within understanding. Whereas the dispassion is possible if your objective is to have a yoga buddhi for Shravanam. So that is where dispassion is possible. There are so many things, even Vaidika karma, anything. Even the rituals and all have to be approached this way. You cannot, just because they are rituals, you cannot have aggrandizements towards the palam and all that. This is because once you do it that way, he says, Durena hi avaram karma, buddhi yoga dhananjaya, buddhav sharanam manvicha, kripanaha palahetavaha. Kripanaha, Bhagavan says, you are miserly. If you have limited focus towards karma pala, you are being miserly towards that. And if you do it that way, durena hi avaram karma, you buddhi yoga, meaning your approach or even your understanding of yoga is far away from your mind. If your mind is totally committed to phala hetavaha, phala or hetu, when you are doing the karma, you are a Maisa, you are not using your buddhi to the extent it is you are supposed to use. For achieving karma into yoga, you have to be prudent about it on the basis of whatever I have discussed. So, durena hi avaram karma, buddhi yoga dhananjaya, buddhav sharanam manvicha, kripanaha pala hetavaha. Who does karma with karma and pala and hetu in his mind, he is a kripana. He is not using his mind, buddhi to the optimum extent. So straight away, Bhagavan says, Karmajam buddhi yuktahi palam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandha vinirmuktaha padam gachanti anamayam. You will be free from shoka. What originally he said, no. So chan anvasochas from that pratigya vakyam. Bhagavan gave beginning of the generally in pramana when it is explained. There is a pratigya vakyam and then there is a upasamharitam. In the sense, the pratigya is fulfilled in the teaching. That is how a pramana is explained. Here, time and again, he reminds that anamaya, you will not have that dukkam. If you follow karma the way in which I explained, karma yoga buddhi, then karmajam buddhi yuktahi palam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandha vinir, you will get that nishayasa palam which I have explained. Janma bandha vinirmuktaha padam gachanti anamayam, without any dukkam or sokam. And then the next verse, yadate moha akilam buddhir vyati tarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam sotadasya surtasya cha. So it's all, this is moham, confusion over purusharthas, how I am supposed to, all these things will go up. One gains dispassion to whatever one hears about varieties of karma and karma phala, all these things. The sense, lot of things, even in the tradition, even in our own Vedic sampradaya, even approach to God. No? The idea is approaching God is to have that samatruti or what do you call in the awareness of Ishvara, the alienation from the being will be removed. That was the objective in having an Ishvara Atma Buddhi and all that. Even but there again, when we put Ishvara in a pedestal and make it very what do you call real, and anything that happens to that what do you call a pradima, in any defect in the what do you call any the ritual and all that, that should not become a agitating thing for you. That way, no, you are again confirming the alienation from Ishvara. This is meant for upasana. This is upasana meaning to whatever understanding you have Ishvara, which we talked about, you are putting it in a pradima and putting that all that glory of Ishvara into that avahanam into that Ishvara and pray. In that, if there are some plus minus dimension, that should not be your focus. So that is where you have to be careful about that. The Ishvara, even the Vedic karma, Ishvara upasana and all that should not be an impediment. It should not be leading from one aggrandizement to another. Instead of getting attached, a pala in a karma like eating, going to a restaurant or something, you get attached to the perfect completion of a ritual. That again is really an attachment. An attachment to karma pala will take you away from this yoga buddhi. That's what it is. You have to be careful about. See, that he tells also later. I mentioned that.
'Any issues, Swamiji?
No issue. Just I'm just looking for a particular verse where I want to highlight.
Okay.
Two seconds. See, he says a particular place, uh, Pushpitam Vacham. This is a particular verse. In sense, even in the Vedic karma and all that, they will give you such flowery, what do you call, explanation about Bhagavan and how he is, what do you call, Shankashakara Kadabane and Dwaraka and in sense, too much of physicalization of Ishvara and so many Pushpitam Vacham, this is so much glorifying words, and you may get carried away. That is where everything is. Ishvara means who is sitting in Vaikuntha and Kailasha. That becomes your one more point of getting aggrandizement. I have to be, go there. So you, again, another trip. Like instead of going to a movie or going to a kshetra, if that becomes a cause for aggrandizement, where is the yoga buddhi possible? Yoga buddhi meaning your mind should be totally under your mastery, like the freedom, what we have discussed about the being, the freedom has to be there, and for that, understanding that freedom for doing the shravanam and all, the mind should be available. For that, samatva buddhi and karma to be done as yoga is talked about. So we should never lose focus, even in the Vedic karma and Ishvara upasana. This should not be, this focus should not be lost. That's what he says in the particular verse. Bhagavan himself says that. Pushpitam Vacham, he says, the Traigunya Vishayo Vedaha Nistraigunya Bhavarjana. So people will say, all our karmas, the lot of this, what do you call, everything, every karma, whether it is Vedika, Laukika, karma, where Ishvara Upasana is involved, all these three Traiguni is involved in terms of what do you call, Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva-buddhi. Sattva-buddhi, maybe initially you start with that. Rajas is that how my worship is better than the other fellows. I must do something better. And Tamas is I want to get this as a phala for doing this puja. I must get this. I must win over this contract. If those sort of things are driving, it is a tamas. Even the Ishvara Upasana, it can be Rajas Upasana or a Tamas Upasana or a Sattva Upasana. What we are talking about, the whole Sattva, Rajas, Tamas as what do you call, as part of Maya Shakti or our own predicament or our own predilections is there throughout. Later in all the doubts raised by Arjuna, these three qualities are discussed in detail. Even in terms of bhakti, shraddha, there can be a sattva shraddha, tamasika shraddha, or rajasika shraddha and all that. But what we are talking about in karma yoga is entirely in the sattvika. Sattvika means that which will lead you to do shravanam, that will lead you to sat buddhi. Sattvika, that will lead you to sat, it is sattvika. So that is the thrust that is being talked about in karma yoga in all facets of activities. It need not be laukikam or vaidikam. That is what I wanted to quote those verses. That is the idea. Then I would suggest I will take like what yesterday some questions were on the sthira prajna. So there are some beautiful verses in Gita regarding this sthira prajna. I will go to those verses. See, this is what this I had already mentioned it before. See, Vishaya Vinivartante Niraharasya Dehinaha Rasavarjam Rasopi Asya Param Drishtva Nivartate. So, the way of life of a person who is striving for this knowledge is the same as that how the person who knows conducts himself spontaneously. That's Sthita Prajna. So, the way of life of the person who is striving to gain this knowledge, yesterday I was telling, it's a sadhana for him. Because you can never make out who is a Sthita Prajna. Unless you are a Sthita Prajna, you cannot identify another Sthita Prajna. But what he can do, how a person is composed, and Atmani Atmana Tushtaha. From that you can pick up as sadhana who is one who is striving for this knowledge. So what he says, so the Rasavarjam, when he says this Param Drishtva is the key word. Generally, even in the second chapter, Ishvara is still not yet talked about in so many terms by Bhagavan. But in the Bhashya as well as Swamiji, this Param Drishtva is the key word. Ishvara has already been brought about. In the sense, Param means ultimate. I have discussed with you how everything is happening in Ishvara's domain. The whole thing is one being, that is Ishvara's domain, and everything is changing. It is all knowledge, nothing really, there is no thing that is happening there. It's all knowledge stitched together as one, one continuous happening in life. So that is Ishvara Pranidhanam, that is life. So if that Param Drishtva, that understanding has to be at the back, even for a jnani, to ensure there is not even an iota of attachment towards anything that is happening around him. Rasavarjam rasopi asya param drishtva nivartate. That is for a jnani, and for a yogi it is equally true. And then the next verse, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopi asya param drishtva. That is okay. This we have discussed. To the next verse is Yatataha api kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramadini haranti prasarvam manaha. So indriyani seems to have a hold even for a person who knows. Okay. Well, like in this context, we are talking about the Sthita Prajna. So, Rasavarjam can make him a bit disturbed. Even a Viveka Vijnana Yuktavan Purushaha. That's what. So, that is where this Ishvara Prajna, it is important. Tasya Prajna Pradishtida Indriyana Mashikaranam Tutva Yuktaha Samahitaha San. This is a Bhashya. Samahitaha San. Asita matparaha meaning Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. So Sarva Pratyagatma Vasudevaha na Anyaha Aham Tasmad iti Asita ityartaha. Life aligned to Ishvara. Vyasa Balat Tasya Prajna Pradishtidaha. Rasavarjam does not disturb. So even for a jnani, he has to meaning he is. Because of his overall understanding, Purupara and all the Upanishad Vakya has gone into his mind. So he knows that everything is happening in Ishvara's domain. So he is always alert to this. That is why even if there is a slight disturbance in his Viveka and Vairagyam, he will just see it as the freedom that I was talking about. The freedom of the being is so blessing. Once you see it, automatically it vanishes because it is other than you. In the sense, the being is once you are alert to, a disturbance in Viveka or Vairagya that happens, once you see it, it goes away. Once you see it, it is other than you, automatically it loses its sting on you. But only problem is, if you don't have this, then your attachment towards that Rasavarjam, towards that lack of Viveka or Vairagya will drive you to do something. It can be a dharma, or it can take you away from this Shravanam Mananam, or to stay with the being, to stay with the self. So that seeing that being, you have that space between being the all-encompassing being, the Swarupa of yourself, Vishwara. If that is there as your being, as your understanding all the time, even the small disturbances, Rasavarjam, will not affect you, affect the jnani, and that is true for equally for a yoga buddhi. In the sense, once you have that as the primordial thing driving your own karma, then karma you will do as yoga, the mind will not be disturbed, you will be able to sit in Shravanam Mananam, and Shravanam Mananam will tell you that you are the essential nature of you is the being. So you will be rooted there. So the other things, even for a karma yogi, the distractions and lack of viveka in a particular situation will not disturb you. You will be able to pull himself back. Like even in Nityasanam, the outside sound may distract you, but you will be able to pull you back into the dhyanam of your the focus on the dhyanam. So that is where karma yoga is what you call. It is not sitting in a particular yoga posture or in an asana or chitta vritti nirodha at a particular point in time. But once you sit there, after that you have to come out and you have to indulge in vihara. So the karma yoga that is being talked about is, it is a what you call an attitude initially, and later as understanding. It has to be there 24 hours, 365 days in your mind. The yoga which is very much tuned to your understanding of Vishwara, the totality, and your lack of alienation from the totality, that is Ishvara, and your own Purnatvam. So that is the yoga palam. That is the yoga palam. That is the ultimate, as good as jnanam. That is why in Gita, karma yoga is as good as jnanam. It's just one step away. Swamiji used to say, once you are a karma yogi, you are just one step away from jnana. In the sense, you just have to be told that you are Purnam, because your mind is available ready. You are not buffeted by the opposite. You are ready in the Shastra, and the Guru tells you that you are Purnam, you are able to accept it. Honestly, when somebody tells, yesterday I was telling in detail, somebody tells you are the awareful being, there is no reason we cannot, we have to doubt that, because right now we see, as awareful being, I am able to see what is happening in my mind, what is happening in my body, how I am being looked at by the other person. In his awareful being, he also will be seeing in his own mind what is how he is interacting with me, everything. The awareful being is so much available. There is no reason why when somebody says you are the awareful being, that we cannot understand is beyond for a human, it is a varaprasada, it is our birthright. That's what I was explaining right from the beginning. And so we cannot afford to lose this freedom and self. And that is how we have to conduct our life. That is where karma yoga is equally blessing as much as that is why the Gita says karma yoga and jnana yoga are put on equal platform, and that is why no other Upanishad discusses karma yoga in so detail like Bhagavan himself says in karma yoga in Bhagavad Gita. I think almost whatever I got to say as yoga, and even that Sthita Prajna, I think I have completed. Yeah, anything you can open up for questions.
Okay, Swamiji.
Yeah.
We still have a lot of time.
Yeah.
The
There
20
can be
minutes is
questions.
there. Yeah. Viewers, if you have any questions, please do share it in the Q&A box. Even those who are watching on YouTube, they can also share their questions. I will just check them and ask Swamiji. So as we wait, Swamiji, we have received one question already. I'll just read that out. For a student or any sadhaka at the starting level, without aiming for result, how can normal people get motivation to pursue things in the world? How to balance the Bhagavan's advice and practical world to achieve higher goals even in spiritual path?
Yeah, in the sense, the person is not at the person who is not at what you call understood even a preliminary what I talked about yesterday. See, karma yoga is only for a mumukshu, in the sense where moksha is the purushartha. That is the context in which karma yoga is presented in Bhagavad Gita. But if you take that is also not there. Even the apatata jnanam, that moksha is the purushartha, if it is not there, in terms of practicality, that you want to not to get buffeted by the results, even while doing karma. In the sense, if you get too anxious about results, even you can become inefficient in your own karma. So that is where it's talked about as attitude. One is attitude, another is understanding. Understanding comes a bit later. Attitude, in the sense, attitude as yoga buddhi is to have in the sense you do it like Ishvara, at least everyone has got that that there is a superior power driving all our actions and all that. I do it Ishvara Arpanam. I do this karma, let Bhagavan bless me with the proper results. That sort of an attitude, a surrender, a sense of Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, and with the readiness to receive it as prasada when it comes back. Because everyone, all of us, culturally at least, all of us go to temples and look whatever that is given as prasada there, whether it is a water or a vibhuti or as a laddu, all of it we are accepted with equanimity as prasada. So this prasada buddhi is ingrained in our culture. So that way, if you are able to have that attitude, Ishvara, Arpana buddhi and prasada buddhi, that so the getting buffeted by the results, even while doing karma, will not be there. There should be a calmness. Your mind will be available for efficient performance of action. So that is the way you begin with actually. And once you have that Ishvara buddhi and prasada buddhi, live life in such a manner for some time, perhaps that itself will bless you to ask this question: what it is all about? I do everything with all the Ishvara buddhi and prasada buddhi, but still things do not happen. Even though I do things in a dharmic manner, cells happen in a different manner. That will make you inquire. A sense of inquiry will come into your buddhi, and perhaps that will lead you to a guru, and then he will be able to tell you about a greater understanding of Ishvara and what is it all about and all that. So attitude also will help. A value system of following, ensuring that what I was talking about yesterday, do unto others as you would like others to do unto you. Even that can be a very good beginning. Everyone expects the same thing, what I expect of others. So keep that in view. That is what Swamiji always says, do what is appropriate to the given situation. Yoga karma su kausalam. That is, now it is not a skill in action, it is dharmic. In the sense, to that extent, what I expect from others, I do it, I execute my action also in the same fashion. These are all the keys. Initially, we must have all these keys, and that has to come in the upbringing, and also is common sense. I would say this: do unto others is common sense. It is. I don't think it has to be educated in a school or a college. Everyone knows. Like I do, I expect something from others. Others also. So live and let live. Do unto others. These are all the right attitudes of yoga, I would say. Definitely for a preliminary person who has not yet been exposed to it. But karma yoga, as is talked about in the Gita, it is in the context of jnanam, acquiring jnanam, and you equip yourself with your mind to have a samatva buddhi, and so that you are able to do the inquiry, proper inquiry through Shravanam.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have one question.
Yeah.
It is my understanding that by the practice of Swadharma, one attains Chitta Shuddhi by destruction of the mental impurities. And then by the practice of Nishkama Karma, that is Karma Yoga, one develops Vairagya. And then through the practice of Bhakti, one develops Ekagra Chitta. And in this way, one becomes eligible to practice Vedanta. That is the Shravana Chatushtayam. Is this understanding correct?
The sadhana Chatushtaya being talked about, it is even told, I am telling you, in so many words, Agrayantaha, that's the Mandukya says, and unless you have this sadhana Chatushtaya Sampanna in relative measure, you are not even an adhikari to get into Vedanta. So Swamiji himself says that. But in today's context, he says, even I was aware of all these things when I entered into Vedanta study. So that is where once you are able to tell fundamentally the person's appeal to the, as I've been telling, that you are the awareful being. You are a person with a normal education, a normal upbringing. Today's, with the background of scientific education and all that, you must be able to see that the sort of a merit in that self-inquiry, that you are the awareful being. That will ignite, your yoga buddhi, that will ignite your Ishwararpana buddhi, and that will ignite your sadhana chatushtoya sampanna, getting more and more equipped. So that, because as you study, as you inquire, this, as you see the shastra and you listen to the guru and all that, you find that you are lacking in this certain things. You are not able to sit together, you are not able to sit and do Shravanam. I have been told, many people, how you are able to do, as part of the publication, I sit for 5 hours and listening. Oh, I am not able to listen for more than 10 minutes. How are you? So that is because those things you will yourself discover. So you want to do it. So then you will practice, automatically you will practice on samadhama. You is not getting agitated about small things in life. Your priorities will change. So dhamma you will practice first. Like, okay, once I get even to a situation where it is something adharmic happening, immediately you will not react. You will sit on it overnight. And before shooting an email, you will sit on it overnight. Next day again you will think over it, and then this dhamma, that is dhamma. And sama is trying to understand the other person. Like, okay, he is having a certain background. If I have been brought up in that background, perhaps I would also behave like that. That gives you the cushion of understanding the other person. Is from sama. In the sense, from dhamma you move to sama. And titiksha, all these things, forbearance, a sort of accommodation. Okay, I may not agree with him, but he is also another human being. I have to give him that space, like I have that. See, all these things, no? So that is why Swamiji always used to say, yoga and jnanam have to go parallelly. It is not that I finish, I become a perfect karma yogi, then only you will get into it. It will never happen. So it is both have to. Bhakti is again, Swamiji is very clear. Bhakti is not a separate yoga; it is part of the karma yoga. Bhakti is, as I was discussing, Ishwararpana buddhi and Prasada buddhi, and doing our even our Pratima Upasana and all that. You are bringing avahanam, the totality of the whole samashti, into a Pratima and do the worship, so that when you go into the temple, you keep everything, your individuality, your plus minus, everything aside, and total surrender. The temple gives you an atmosphere where you are able to be one with Bhagavan. That then you are able to, once you are spending time like that, the oneness, it catches up with you even in your outside activity. That is how both are packed together. So I would say there is no bifurcation like after this, it doesn't happen that way. So all has to be simultaneously processed. Life is one life. My blog also, I think one of the latest blogs I have mentioned, it is one life. No, don't compartmentalize. It is not Vaidika separate, Laukika separate, professional separate, personal separate. There is only one life. Every day, every moment we are living one life. So don't try to practice something inside the house and practice something outside the house. All this do not help. Be an integrated person and try to improve your understanding all the time. And automatically the question, the self-inquiry will keep the fire burning and ensure that your self-inquiry, self-exploration will definitely lead you to composure, shravanam, going to the right guru. And since even for you to recognize the guru in somebody, you needs that anugraha. That anugraha comes from your attitude and how you conduct your life. So it's all part of the yoga buddhi, that you land up at the right place, right door, where you get properly guided. So it's all together, I would say.
Thank you very much, Swamiji. We don't have any more questions.
Yeah.
I would just say that two biggest takeaway for me from this 2 sessions is, one, there is only one life. Let us not divide it into silos, because that division itself is an illusion we create to satisfy our mind. And but it's better to lead an integrated life. That is first message. And the second message is, the ultimate goal of life is Chitta Bhranti Nirodha, and Chitta Vritti Nirodha could be one of the means to reach there, but not the ultimate goal. So I think these have been the most wonderful messages. For one is very practical. The the other gives the clarity about the ultimate goal. On the behalf of entire Advaita Academy and all of us, I thank you for taking time and giving these wonderful lectures, Swamiji. Thank you very much.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.
Viewers, with this we come to the conclusion of this weekend's Weekend with Wisdom. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and we will post updates about upcoming events. We are doing a lot of different kinds of events, interviews, weekend webinars, and recently we have started doing the retreats, residential retreats as well. So do follow us on our social media handles to have latest update. With this, I conclude this session. Thank you again, Swamiji. Shri Guru Pyo.